Now let's look at what did Gandhiji do. He organized a march called the Dandi March. What happened here? Let's look at it. In 1930, the Working Committee of Congress met at Sabarmati Ashram and they passed a resolution that they will hold the civil disobedience movement under the leadership of Gandhiji. Gandhiji wrote a letter to the Viceroy saying we have certain demands. Fulfill these demands. If you don't fulfill these demands, we will hold a protest. He wrote a letter to the Viceroy demanding 11 points. In case the government does not accept his demand, the people would reject the paying of tax. So students, until now, we saw that in non-cooperation movement, Gandhiji led saying, don't cooperate with the government. What is the meaning of don't cooperate? If there are schools, colleges, courts, elections, we will not participate. But still, government gets money. How? In the form of tax. So, civil disobedience movement took it one step ahead of non-cooperation movement. How? Now we will not pay tax as well. So, the people would reject the paying of tax and start civil disobedience movement all over India. Thousands of people participated in salt satyagraha. What is the meaning of salt satyagraha? What exactly happened there? I'll tell you now. Students, what exactly is the salt satyagraha? Let's look at it. Starting in 1835, when provinces under the British came under the British rule, they increasingly put salt taxes on Indian salt only. And they made a lot of laws, salt related laws. The tax raised the price of salt in India and made it very difficult for Indians, especially the poor people, to buy the salt that they need. The salt laws made it illegal for any Indian to collect, produce or sell salt. So they were not allowed to produce or sell salt. Anyone who bought or sold salt outside of the British shops was imprisoned for 6 months in jail. Gandhiji thought, this is not correct. When he came to know, he found these restrictions on salt production very unfair and he decided that we will protest. He said, next to air and water, salt is the most greatest necessity of life. So then, salt is also important as it makes our food tasty, but it's more important because it's very important for health, for the iodine intake in the body. It is essential for good health. So Gandhiji organized a salt march, a march from his ashram in Sabarmati all the way to the village of Dandi in the south of Gujarat. It started on the 12th of March 1930. With Gandhi and 78 people, they started marching towards Dandi. This is the Sabarmati ashram. They went all the way to Dandi. They wanted to manufacture salt and also protest for Indian freedom. So they walked along 240 miles from Ahmedabad to Dandi. Thousands of people started joining. Where he started only with 78 people, thousands of people kept joining Gandhiji. They opposed the unfairness for not being allowed to produce and sell their own salt. Gandhi and his followers walked about 12 miles every single day and they reached Dandi after 3 weeks. A battle of right against the might of the British, it was called. At the end of the march, students, Gandhiji picked up the grains of salt and he took a pledge. What was the pledge? With these crystals of salt, I am going to shake the foundation of the British Empire. With the Dandi March, Gandhi launched the civil disobedience movement against the British Empire. So this salt satyagraha movement week was observed from April 6th to 13th. Many leaders like Vijayalakshmi Pandit, Kamalala Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, Rajagopalachari, Babu Rajendra Prasad and many leaders participated with Gandhiji. They were all arrested. Slowly the movements also spread to other parts of India. So this is how the Dandi March actually took place. What were the Britishers doing? A meeting of Indian legislative representatives was held in London in 1930. This is the first round table conference. It was on a round table. All these representatives sat and spoke. So it's called the Round Table Conference. This meeting conveyed the message that the government alone cannot take measures and ignore the Indians. So this was the first time that the Indian representatives were in a meeting for a law to be made that concerns Indians. For the first time, Indians were there in the meeting. Representation was given even to the untouchables. The Dalits were also represented in the meeting for the first time. In order to facilitate or encourage the participation of leaders, the imprisoned leaders like Gandhiji and many other Congress leaders were released from the prison. Many leaders representing various communities and kingdoms participated in the meeting like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, M.R. Jaikar, Tej Bahadur Sapu, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Srinivas Shastri and others. The conference approved dominion status. But did we want dominion status, students? No. What did we want? We wanted Purna Swaraj. But what did they approve? They approved dominion status, responsible government and religious separation. We demanded that we don't want separate electorates, be it for Muslims, for Anglo-Indians, for Christians, we don't want. But they said no, they will give religious representation where they will keep separate electorates. The Indian National Congress did not participate. Indian National Congress represented the majority of the Indians and they said we are not participating. It remained incomplete. Without them, how can it be considered complete? In order to make the Roundtable Conference a success, there was a pact, an agreement. Pact means agreement. It was signed between the Viceroy Irwin and Gandhiji, where Gandhiji kept certain demands. If Viceroy Irwin met those demands, he agreed that he would attend the next Roundtable Conference. It is generally called as the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Very important question for 1 mark. As a result, the Congress stopped. The British said, you stop the civil disobedience movement. Irwin said, I have some demand, like you stop the civil disobedience movement. Gandhiji also told, I have certain demands. Both agreed to each other's demands, and as a result of which, Gandhiji said, okay, now we will attend the Roundtable Conference. So we know very clearly from the British, the demand was to stop the civil disobedience movement, which we agreed. And then we participated in the second Roundtable Conference. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Muhammad Ali Jinnah also participated in this conference. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar represented the Dalits. Muhammad Ali Jinnah represented the Muslims or the All India Muslim League. In the second Roundtable Conference, Ambedkar put a lot of pressure that there must be separate electorates for the untouchables or for the Dalits. So again, students, a very important 1 mark question. What was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's demand in the Roundtable Conference, the second Roundtable Conference? He pressed that we should have separate electorate. Muslims already have their separate electorate. Now he wanted separate electorate for the untouchables also. So that was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's demand when in the second Roundtable Conference. So students, first Roundtable Conference happened. The Congress and Gandhiji did not attend. So Irwin the Viceroy came to Gandhiji. They made an agreement, a pact called the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. The civil disobedience movement was stopped. Gandhiji attended the second Roundtable Conference, and in this conference, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was pressing for separate electorates. This was opposed, but did Gandhiji support it? No. He thought we should not encourage the differentiation. Oh, you're a Dalit. Oh, you're a Hindu. Oh, you're a Muslim. We should all recognize each other as Indians. We should not have the differentiation at all. So he opposed this pressure from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. This resulted in ideological difference. Ideological difference means Gandhiji had an idea, Dr. Ambedkar had an idea. They both were different ideas. So they had an ideological difference. So the second roundtable conference also didn't have any conclusion. So the first roundtable conference failed. Second roundtable conference also failed. Students, you should know the reasons why the first roundtable conference failed. Why did the second roundtable conference fail? But the British government now announced the decision. They said we are going to have separate electoral constituencies for the untouchables. So it gave its decision in favor of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So this decision is called the Communal Award. Again, a very important question. What is the Communal Award? The separate electoral constituencies for untouchables is the Communal Award. It came in the year 1932. Mahatma Gandhi opposed this and he started a fast, a hunger strike, saying, fast unto death, I will fast until I die if you do not remove this Communal Award. Efforts were made to convince Ambedkar as Gandhiji had taken on this fast unto death. As a result, they signed an agreement called the Pune Pact. According to this, only a few constituencies were reserved for untouchables amongst the general constituencies. So India had many blocks. Each block was called constituencies. Out of these, very few, like let's say just 10 out of 100, they were reserved for untouchables. In all constituencies, they didn't do reservation. The untouchable became the representative of all. So in these constituencies, only the Dalits would become the leader. Such was the decision as per the Pune Pact. The British government instructed for the formation of federal government at the center and regional governments at the states. What is the meaning of this? Federal government? Federal government means a government where the power is divided between the center and the states. And regional government? Local governments in the states. In this background, so students, we already know what happened in the Pune Pact. Now let's look at the background. So this was the background under which the third round table conference was organized. Again, the Congress did not participate, opposing the decision of government of Communal Award. As a result of these roundtable conferences, the British still went ahead and made the law, the Government of India Act 1935. Very important. They can ask you as a result of roundtable conferences which act was passed. The Government of India Act 1935. Students, while you learn history, you all should know the chronology of events. What happened first, what happened second, what happened third. It's extremely important. What did this act provide for? It provided for a federal structure at the center and regional autonomy at state level. What is the meaning of regional autonomy? So at the state level, let's say they have put the departments of agriculture, water resources, law and order under the state government. They gave them complete independence. They would not interfere in their lawmaking process at the state level. Political rights were now available. What is the meaning of political rights? Right to express your opinion, right to vote. All of these are political rights. Two consequences of Government of India Act 1935. Again, a very important question from examination point of view. So as a result, the Congress and the Muslim League participated in the elections because now everything is open for Indians to participate in. The Congress got majority and they formed the government. By this time, due to various political developments in Europe, what happened? World War II had started and the Viceroy didn't even ask India. Unilaterally means on his own he made this decision that India will fight on the side of British So unilaterally he declared India's war against Germany. The Congress walked out of the cabinet. It was in the government, they had formed the government. Because the Viceroy made this decision, forcing India to go and fight with Germany in the war, they walked out. They said, we don't even want to be a part of this government. Gandhiji declared personal satyagraha. What is the meaning of personal satyagraha? Not a mass protest. Where we are, there only we will stay and we will protest. Individual, at a single person's level, individual level, we will do satyagraha. The Stafford Cripps was sent to mediate to India. So now the matter is very serious. They need Indian support. They need soldiers from India if they are to fight the World War II. Now they need support, but we are clear that we don't want to participate in this war. And they have not fulfilled our previous demands. They have given us dominion status. But do we want dominion status? No, we want Purna Swaraj. They have not given that to us. So now to negotiate, to make a deal, who's coming to India? Stafford Cripps is being sent to India.